There's normally a formula that my videos follow. Hey everybody, it is directed by... Let's talk about the plot. What about the characters? Does it suck? Have a great day. All in an attempt to keep my thoughts concise and you watching. Hyperfixating on dwindling audience retention, drop-off points, and lack of engagement. Getting caught up in percentages, graphs, numbers, and stats, with no clear way on how to fix it. So why am I telling you this? Because when people center things around themselves, irony gets lost on them. This is vengeance. Since we're still practicing subversion over here, I'm gonna go ahead and get right into what you want to hear. If you made it through the intro, not only am I going to be congratulating you, congratulations by the way, but there's also a high chance of me recommending this movie to you over the ones that didn't. So if you clicked off the intro, if you fast forwarded through it, if you skimmed around, if you decided that it was irrelevant and therefore didn't want to watch it, you're probably not going to like this movie. Because yes, I am going to be reviewing the movie within this video, but the main point of the video isn't reviewing the movie, it's reviewing the themes. Just like the movie does have a compelling, well put together mystery, but the mystery itself is not the main point. The main point of the film is not the narrative it presents, but the themes presented within it. Now I can't necessarily delve into themes without delving into the plot itself, so if this is your favorite part of my regular reviews, I've got something for you. A Tale of Two Mysteries. Now the first mystery we're going to be talking about is the one that everybody's going to think about when they read the synopsis. And it's also the backdrop that is leading into the themes themselves. So the gist of it is that the main character Ben, played by BJ Novak, hooks up with a girl a couple times. Then a little while later, she inexplicably dies of an overdose. Ben gets dragged to her funeral by her family because her family truly believes that Ben was more than just a hookup. They believe that him and their daughter were dating. Once he gets down south though, her brother reveals something a little bit sus. He says he doesn't believe his sister died of an overdose. He believes she was murdered. Realizing he could take advantage of this situation, for reasons we'll talk about later, Ben decides to stay down south and investigate the cause of her death with her family. Now the second mystery is primarily based around an idea. Who am I, and what am I looking for? As the film progresses and Ben tries to figure out the first mystery, doors open due to that leads to him figuring out the second. He's in a new environment now. And being in a new place isn't just a new setting, it's new expectations. Things and ideas that he had from where he came from that he had no issue doing and thinking and saying now have a different stigma to it. Even the smaller differences can be showcased in a way that really lets you know how set apart he is from everybody else. He is really trying to fit in, right? There's a point in the movie wherever someone goes, if you like this school, stand up and holler or something like that. And he gets up and he's like, yeah! And nobody else does. So when he gets brought down in front of everyone and he has to defend why he likes this school, he brings up generic reasons like, oh, they provide ample opportunities for all these kinds of people. The prices aren't that bad. They're very diverse. Stuff like that. Whereas when the people that did cheer for the second school has someone come up to represent them, all he has to say is, this was one of the scenes that really cemented to Ben that he cannot play pretend his entire life. If he continues to try to fit in with everybody, he won't know who he really is. And in doing so, he could get caught out and look really stupid, just like he did there. But it's harder to do when your entire life is based around who you think you're supposed to be. This is why the second mystery is him trying to figure out who he truly is. Now, before we can talk about how that mystery ends, we have to talk about how it begins. Separated by time. This idea is an interesting one, and it may not be the one that actually sets Ben out on his whole journey, but it is the one that shows the motivations of his character and the mindset that he has. The idea is that what separates America isn't geography. It isn't red state, blue state, differences in opinions like that. What separates America is time. And see, I like that. I like that because it doesn't only work with America, it works with the entire world. It can work on a person-to-person basis. What separates us as people is the fact that none of us have to live in the moment anymore. We can live in whatever moment that we want to. We don't have to watch TV at a certain time to catch a certain show. We can just stream whatever we want, whenever we want to. We don't have to have conversations in real time. I can text you and you can respond 3 minutes, 3 seconds, 3 hours, 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months, never. That is entirely up to you. We choose when we want to do things, and in doing so, we usually do it in times that are different than other people. Which wouldn't be too bad if it wasn't disconnecting us as much as it was connecting us. Whenever you want, you can just get on social media and start scrolling. You can see another celebrity caught in a sex scandal. You can keep up with whatever the Kardashians are doing today. You can see Kanye West just passive-aggressively threaten to kill someone again. We can see 343 Studios lie about Halo Infinite again, and then right after see that 9 other shootings just occurred in our area. Then we see like 4 memes and a cat video, maybe in between it, maybe afterwards. What actually makes any of those things connect with one another, besides the fact that we just saw it all? Boom, 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 boom. Nothing. And that's what makes us desensitized to everything, because we see this stuff constantly and we see it so fast that we don't take the time to process any of it. We don't actually take the time to think about why there might have been 9 shootings. We just go, oh, there was 9 more shootings. Ha, America. We don't open the articles that are talking about anything that happens to do with a celebrity. We read the headlines and then we comment down below. I don't know why people do that, but they do. They can get on TikTok and scroll and scroll and scroll, and they can see so much misinformation that is being spread and then just accept it as fact because they don't want to do the research or look into it, because in this moment they just saw it. And the moment they saw it is the only one they're living in, because they live in their own time. Now I'm gonna call this next one Reassurance Within Doubt. Now the idea behind this one is that we would come up with excuses or conspiracies in order to justify or understand why something would happen. Like believing that Abilene was murdered instead of the fact that she would have overdosed. A more well-known theory that conveys this point is the theory that 9/11 was an inside job. Instead of having to say that we were blindsided, we could just say that, oh, we planned all this to give us an excuse to, attack them. I've known people to use that theory to say, see, we were the strongest still. We were still the greatest back then. We came up with that whole strategy because we're that smart. Instead of thinking about the fact that if that was true, in any capacity, we just murdered our own people. But that's besides the point, right? Because they're not using it to think about that. They're using it to make it easier to accept it. Make it easier for them to say, hey, look, this happened. And it'd be far easier for a family to say, hey, my daughter was killed, than, hey, my daughter's decisions got her killed. Through and through, it's a coping mechanism. Now this next one is called Fly on the Wall. It is less of an idea and more of an interpretation, but I think that all ideas start with how we interpret something. I mean, look at this video. That's how it came into fruition. Now, one of the characters on this movie says, oh, don't worry about him. He wouldn't hurt a fly. To which the guy he is referring to retorts by saying that he would kill a fly, but it takes a really sick person to want to hurt one. In the movie, the conversation came and went just as fast as it did right there. It stuck out to me, and although I have some thoughts, I'm not even sure why. So in the comments below, if you heard that and it made you think of literally anything, I want you to put it down there, because I would love to hear your thoughts on it, because for some reason there's something that feels profound about it. There's something that feels like I should care about what he just said, and I do not know why. Now that we got that one out of the way, we're gonna call this one Overcomplicated Love. There is a scene within the movie when Ben is talking to the family about the places they like to eat. And you know what they all love? Whataburger. And he keeps pressing and pressing and pressing. Why do you love Whataburger? What do you love to get there? Why would you go instead of here, here, and here? And the family doesn't understand. They're like, you can get whatever you want at Whataburger. There's a Whataburger everywhere. Just simple stuff that makes them like it. And he wants something complex. He wants something deep. In this moment, Ben is making things far more complex than they need to be. And Ty, who is the oldest brother, really calls him out on it. Where Ben is trying to pick apart love and trying to boil it down to certain points that would make you say that you love something, Ty has a more simple and yet more profound look at it. He doesn't believe that there needs to be overwhelmingly positive reasons to love something. He believes that it is just something you do. It is a feeling. He just loves Whataburger. They all just love Whataburger. You shouldn't need a reason to love something. You should just be able to love it. And that is exactly what they do. Whataburger was a good example of this because love isn't always healthy. And neither is Whataburger. I don't know if that's what they were going for, but that's what I got out of it. Which I am going to break the pacing of the video up a little bit here and say that if you are in a relationship or if you do have someone in your life that you love and they're not necessarily good for you, they're so unhealthy for you that it's in the side of poison, there are people you can reach out to, people you can talk to, ways you could help not only yourself, but help them as well. It is never too late. You are never alone. You are loved and you deserve to feel that way. So please, please, please reach out to any of the resources listed right here. Next up, we're going to be talking about a scene that happens in a recording studio. And Ashton Kutcher's character, which is actually my favorite character in the entire movie, is the one that says it. I'm gonna go ahead and name this one, What's on Your Record? I am really gonna try to show you this clip because it really helps if you can hear it and formulate your own opinion and feel your own emotions on it before I speak about it myself. Hopefully I don't get a copyright strike or my video blocked in all territories, but since YouTube is really broken, even though this video is for educational purposes, I wouldn't really put it past them. Let's get into it and hopefully you can hear it. Now if you saw and heard that clip, then you probably have a pretty good idea of what just happened. But just in case you were confused, or I had to cut the entire section out, I'm gonna go ahead and try to sum it all up. So basically what he was saying there is no matter which camp you fall into, whether you believe everything started with "Let there be light," or you believe everything started with a Big Bang, you both have one thing in common. You believe it started with a sound. Either a voice booming or an explosion booming. It both started with a noise. That noise, that sound, started the record of all of existence. Your voice, the sound that you choose to produce, is the record of your existence that you are putting on the record of all of existence. See, the reason that means so much to me is because music has always been integral to my life. Music not only helps us come to terms with how we feel, but it gives us an outlet to express those feelings through. If I feel depressed and lonely and I want to listen to something that understands that feeling, I can listen to The Boy That Was There by J. Lloyd. If I'm sweeping and I want to listen to something with a little bit more pep in its step, I can turn on something by Avicii or Kygo. I mean, on a more personal level, when my best friend passed away, I had a whole playlist of music that helped me grieve. Like, I Will Follow You Into the Dark by Death Cab for Cutie was one of the ones on there that really helped me get through that. Along with 21 Years by Toby Mac, two completely different genres, two completely different artists, but the tone and the feeling was the same. Those artists made those songs, and those songs became their sound. The sound on their record, which has now been played, and because they put their heart into that record, those sounds now translate out, and they're on my record now. They're in my heart. I will cherish those songs. I will cherish those artists, and I will remember them even if everybody else forgets, because that sound mattered to me. And that is how much your sound should matter to you, because everybody is listening to you. Everybody is seeing what you do. What you do now in this life is what everybody is going to know you for after your life ends. For better or for worse, this channel is my sound. This is my record that I am putting on the record of the world, and I am putting that record out there for everybody to hear. So maybe, if it matters to you, it will become a part of your record. It will become a sound that you recognize, that you care about. Even if you don't remember anything else I say, remember this. What you say, your actions, are part of your record. But it's not just you that you are affecting. You are affecting the records of everyone around you, because your sounds can be a part of their record, and their record can be a part of your record, and these records are just a part of the biggest record, which is, ironically enough, sometimes recorded in history books. For the record. And I personally also gained something else out of this, because I believe that the record is not only going to affect how people see my life as I live it now after I die, but I believe that it also will affect what happens to my life after I die. And I am talking about the afterlife, heaven or hell. Now, you don't have to believe that. You don't have to take it that far, but I do. That is something that I got out of it. That was a bit much, so we're going to talk about something a little less convoluted now. Cracked doesn't always mean broken. There is a fleeting scene, like 12 seconds long, where a character walks in on our main character, shows him her phone screen, and says, "See this screen? It's cracked." That's how I feel sometimes. And then she just walks out. Now, Trevor, you overthinking, anxiety-ridden weirdo, I hear you ask. How much importance could a 12-second scene even have? Well, if we're being honest, it's not really relevant any other time throughout the movie. But it doesn't make it any less relatable. I think we all have had moments where we felt cracked, where we felt broken, where we felt that we're not really good to look at. Like every time people view us, they don't really see a full person anymore. And just like with the phone screen, if you put a band-aid over that, it's not really going to fix the crack. Instead, all it's really doing is covering up more of the screen. And that's kinda what we do, is it not? We put a band-aid on the crack. We put a mask on to cover up how broken we really feel. We try to pretend to be something we're not. And as the band-aid doesn't get rid of the crack, the mask doesn't change who we are. We can pretend to be somebody as much as we want, but it doesn't make it that way. We can pretend to be whole and still be just as broken. Pretending is just that. It is pretend. It isn't reality. This character spends the entire movie saying that she just wants to be famous. Not because she truly wants something that has to do with fame, but because that's what her family is. Her family is striving to be, as her mom said it,
you have to be a famous something.
So who is she behind the facade of fame? Could I look at you and ask the same? For you, the facade may change, but the idea itself would still remain. Don't be afraid to be yourself. In the girl's case, if she truly wants to be famous, she can't lose herself while she does it. Because if she does that, she's not famous at all. The only thing that is famous is the facade. If someone is truly going to care about you, they're going to care about you, cracks and all. Now I know I've been getting a bit sidetracked here. We haven't been really talking about how all this relates to the plot. And, that's totally my bad, but I'm not re-recording it. So we're gonna go full circle here, and we're gonna go back to something that does. So I'm gonna call this next part the same name as the movie, Vengeance. Because in the middle of the movie, Ben makes a realization that actually makes a lot of sense. He says, vengeance isn't about the future, but about the past. Not about hope, but about regret. That makes a lot of sense, but I don't entirely agree. Some people see vengeance as something that they can use to move on. Yes, it's about what they regret that they couldn't prevent, something that they regret even happened, but it's not completely about the past, it's about moving on from that past to see towards the future. But that doesn't have to pertain just to vengeance. You can still be holding on to something that somebody said last week, still be holding a grudge against that person, and you can hold that grudge forever, or you can move on. I know people that refuse to talk to their family members because they're still mad about something that happened like 4 years ago, 10 years ago, a decade ago. You don't have to forget that pain, but you can forgive that person in a bid to move on. Because if you don't, you're just letting whatever happened eat up at you. You're letting that tear you apart from something that could be better. You're letting something that is probably small in the grand scheme of things make you miss out on a future that could be far larger. And forgiveness doesn't necessarily mean that you have to go out and hang out and be best friends with whomever hurt you. It just means that you're no longer holding on to that. You're not letting that experience eat you alive, because there's a good chance that that person, they don't even remember what they did. They don't even care. They don't know how you feel. They don't care to. So you're just letting them have more and more and more power over you. Every second that you hold on to something that they no longer care about. It's your life. Take control of it. Feel how you want to feel and live towards your own future instead of let somebody else hold you in the past.